Greetings, hello, and welcome everyone. Welcome to DevChatter. It's a pretty nice Tuesday here, and I am looking forward to writing some code with all of you. So, we're going to continue on with the project we were doing last time, which is, I'll give the quick introduction for anyone that is new. If you are new, welcome. I'll tell you a little bit about the channel first, which is that this is obviously DevChatter. My name is Brendan. I am the host of DevChatter, but really it is all about a community because there are a whole bunch of people. That's why we are Chatter. We're about the discussions about coding and not just, the live coding that obviously is the central point of the community. So as part of that, we also have a Discord that you should consider joining. And obviously the chat to discuss things as we go. Most of our code, if you are new, is C# and JavaScript. We do some web dev. It's usually the things we do. We do a little bit of, I'll say casual game development, just for a bit of fun every once in a while. And we try to work on long-term projects, like the bot that is in our channel is something that we built on stream. And this is a community project that we're doing. So the explanation of what this is our Dev Streams project, and Dev Streams is all about supporting the community of live streaming developers that is starting to appear within the industry. So I'm sure most of you have noticed that there are more streams showing up now than there have been in the past, and we think that's really awesome. And we want to help contribute to that and support this community. So one of the ways that we're doing that is by building this website that we're hoping will help people to both schedule viewing of these as well as figuring out when they want to host their own streams. So if you are interested in becoming a streamer, you would want to get your stream listed on this schedule. And we're hopefully going to get things built in with tags and filtering eventually and all that kind of fun stuff. But right now we're starting out with a pretty simple one. And that's sort of the plan. Welcome. I saw a whole bunch of people saying hi in chat. Rolandman, hello. Await task, hi. Stoolpenner, S&B, welcome. If I missed anybody else in the chat, you're still welcome. And if you'd rather remain silent, you are welcome to do that as well. I will only call out people who are talking in chat, obviously, and I'll try to get your names right as well. If I mess it up, don't feel weird about telling me. I could be messing it up for months, and you can still tell me, and it won't be weird. I just like to try and say people's names correctly, as you know, it's a nice thing to do. Okay, so. Couple of things. We are looking right now at one of the view models that I believe this is the one that we were messing with. Yeah, it says it 2 days ago. So we were doing this on our Saturday stream. We set up this little view model here. This view model should be used over in our edit CSHTML file, which I'm going to go ahead and jump to. It is right here. Oh man, there's a couple of little things I want to clean up. Let me make sure I'm on the right branch. I don't think I am. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this. It should be exactly the same, although it's going to reset everything because it didn't know it was exactly the same because I didn't pull it. But it should still be there now, and yep, that looks the same. So that's good. Okay, a couple of things I want to do. Just a tiny bit of cleanup before we get started. First off, that is really ugly. I do not need the namespace on that, thank you. I don't really want this app data context to live here either, as we discuss a couple of these things. Right now, our data access is done through Entity Framework. Obviously, we can pull that out if we want and replace it with something else. I just put that in there because it gets us our authentication out of the box. And can wire up these nice CRUD pages, which aren't like beautiful CRUD pages, but they work and they get you like the starting point, so you can begin editing some stuff that's in your database. So the basic CRUD pages that come out of the box, if you're running ASP.NET Core, if you haven't seen this, it creates a create, delete, details, edit, and index page, where index, of course, is the list of all the content. and then there's an edit, details, delete, and create. So standard CRUD pages. It doesn't do really nice forms for them. So like it's a basic input, so it's going to be text-based instead of, you know, understanding that that was a date time or something like that and adding the input type, which I'm kind of surprised it doesn't do that, because it knows the data type is a date time for some of these and could just do the translation because it's just an HTML input tag with a type of date. That it could probably get away with. Although I guess it wouldn't know if it was date or time or whether you wanted both. Okay, so there's a gray area. I'll give them that one. Maybe they could guess based on the name. Anyway, here's what I want to take a look at. So we have those. You know what? I'm just going to do... Whenever I see those, it's just... I'll often put in a little code cleanup little thing there. So this is... I don't know which thing we're doing right now, so I'm going to make a temp branch here, and we'll rename that in a second. So, pro tip, because the way that Git works, if you don't know this, one of the best things for helping people understand Git that I like to tell everyone is you can kind of think of your branch not as a full copy of the code like you might have had with previous version control systems. I usually tell people, think of the branch basically as a pointer. So, and the reason I use that is because programmers generally understand, not all programmers, but some programmers understand the concept of a pointer. So if you think of it that way, we can keep track of this pointer, and remember obviously that in Git, it's all just a sequence of change sets, not full copies of the code, but it's a pointer to a specific change set. You can kind of think of it that way. And the idea is, if you ever want to point a new pointer to that same location, it's easy. So if you ever decide, hey, I don't like the name of this branch, just create a new one. Like, new branch is like just a pointer to the same thing. It costs you nothing. You know, basically nothing. So that's our Git tip for the day. Okay. So on this one, we modified that, so code cleanup. So hence temp, because I have not, you know, made anything significant enough in this branch to know where I'm going with it. Okay. So the edit page. Let's take a look at it. Is this running? I'm not sure if I started the site yet, so we're going to go ahead and start it. And we'll see which browser it opens it in, because I have browsers running on multiple monitors. Ooh, perfect, it picked the right one. Okay, so this is the basic data structure. Is right now we have channels. I eventually want to get it so that these are channels are specific to a user, so you'll need permission to access a channel. So you'll only see the channels you own when you're on these managing pages. So this would be like my channels instead of just channels. And then when we're in here, I can go look at the schedule, which is what we were just looking at, and we're looking at the edit schedule page. So that would mean I take one of these, I click on edit, and this is the basic edit screen. So obviously we want it a little, we want it nicer than this, but for now it gets us access to the data, lets us change it. So we can choose the day of the week, and we can choose the time. And this is wired up to that page, so if I change this back to, whoops, that time and save it, it changes it. I can go back to the list and it's updated here as well. So a couple of significant things that I want to mention about this data, and that is, number one, remember that we are storing these as local start times and end times, and storing the time zone ID. Now the reason for that is that most streamers, I assume, probably want to schedule their events for, let's say your stream starts at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays. I wonder where I came up with that idea. And the idea is that when we enter daylight savings time in the spring, I am going to still stream at 2 p.m. my time, and that may shift for everyone else around the world. So when we create events from this, because we're going to create specific event instances in the future, we're going to put those in UTC. and we need to translate from my local time to UTC. Now, if we had stored this as a UTC value, then what would happen is the system would suddenly think that I should start streaming at 1 p.m. So that's just, I don't know, just kind of silly. And sadly, that's how a lot of systems work, because people have this idea that you should just store everything in UTC, which is almost, I do think that it is useful if you just want to take the standard approach and you want to have something that's not too bad. Recording something as a point in history at UTC is fine, because that already happened. There is a known UTC point when that occurred. And if you also had other information that could be useful, but knowing the UTC time that something happened is good enough in most scenarios. For more on that, you can check out our past video that we did where we discussed time zones about a month ago. And that's available on our YouTube channel. I don't think it's still on Twitch. I think that has moved, and I'll toss a link there in chat. Okay, so couple of things. I want to adjust this page a little bit because I'm noticing that this has day of week, local start time, local end time, and that tells me this is still not using any kind of a basic view model. So let's have it use the same view model, say, as the details page. I think that makes sense. Details and index could use the same view model, despite the fact that we will be providing a little bit of extra data. I don't think it'll be too much. So let's start there, because I don't want to have a ton of view models. So I think probably delete, details, and index can use the same one. And I'm not sure on create and edit. Those might do the same ones. We'll see. Okay. Let's see, page, channel ID, int. Oh yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's so cool. Okay, day of week, local start time, local end time. So this is grabbing this off of scheduled streams, day of week 0, so whatever scheduled stream is in our index model. So let's take a look. Our index model has channel, and channel contains a collection of scheduled streams. So there's our first problem. Are we using channel at all? Yes, we use channel to grab time zone, which I think we can just put right on the model. So let's do that. So a couple of things. This idea that I have an individual object like this channel here, and that's the whole structure of the data, that's not necessary in this approach, because of the fact that we're dealing with a page model, which in some ways is almost like a view model itself, except for the fact that we bind to certain properties. So I like to collect those into a single object, which I usually call a view model or a DTO depending on the circumstances. Okay, so first things first, let's get rid of channel. I don't want that. That's bad. No channel. Okay. Second thing, I know that I need to have a time zone ID that's associated with these events. So let's say string time zone name. So I had a to-do here that says make it a friendly name instead, so you know what? I'm going to do that now. So I always like the Boy Scout rule where when you're in some code, you nice it up. We're fixing this to use a view model instead of using our actual model object here, but I'm also going to go ahead and convert that to the correct time zone name when we do that. And actually, I could just put that on the object, because since we're building this, do I any longer need it? No, I don't. I no longer need channel. Okay. In that case, this is a list. And this is going to be a list of foo view models. And it is going to be called scheduled streams. Scheduled streams, yeah, there we go. This will be a list of those. It's not actually going to be scheduled streams necessarily. It's going to be class, and so scheduled stream view model for now. Prop, this is going to have day of week, ISO day of week, prop, string, this is going to be local start time, prop string local end time, and the last thing we want is the time. We need the time zone and we need the ID of this. So we're gonna have the string time zone name. We're gonna do a friendly name instead of doing the actual formal time zone. So that's what our to-do was about. So scheduled stream view model. There it is. Okay. So that's a little nicer there. And obviously this doesn't work yet because we're not actually wired up here. But what I can do is I can say, instead of going to model, I can say item dot. Wait, where was time zone on that? Time zone name? String time zone name? Oh, it doesn't have the type yet. Derp. Yeah. It doesn't know it's one of these yet. Because I didn't, wait. Is it because it doesn't, oh, it's because it doesn't compile back here. Yeah. This doesn't compile. So because this didn't compile, the front-end page doesn't know what that type is. So we'll go ahead and fix that now by saying that equals that dot wait, hang on. Derp var channel equals that, and we're gonna say scheduled streams equals channel dot scheduled streams what do we want to call this? Do the scheduled streams actually have the, do they have the time zone on them? No, they don't have it at all. So, we need the whole thing. So that's two scheduled streams view model. Two scheduled stream view models. So turn the channel into that. Okay, let's create this. So that is going to be here for now. And probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a whole folder just for these bits. So that we don't have, so that this doesn't run away. So that this doesn't get huge. Public static void that this channel. And we're going to say scheduled streams view model. Wait, no, that doesn't take in an extra one. It just returns that. It's not public void. It is a list of scheduled streams view model. There we go. Return new list of those. Okay. Boom, it works. No, it doesn't work yet. Alright, we're going to go ahead and save that. And we're going to call that view models for now. Which, maybe that's just getting replaced by a select. We'll see. So let's do channel dot scheduled streams select. In fact, I think it is going to use a select. So we're going to make a new scheduled stream view model from this. So there's how our select is going to work. Got not to hash set. What? Why would I want that? Okay. So now it's complaining that I didn't store this in a variable. So we're going to say view models equals that, and then return. Okay. Put that on its own line. Put that on its own line. And just to get this nicer, let's do that. There we go. So from here, what we're able to do is essentially create one of these new objects out of each one of our scheduled stream model objects. Now, we have two choices here. We can either, so I'm going to write this right now, but I have a feeling that we're going to extract this into its own extension method shortly, which will achieve the same result. Because we're probably going to do the same thing on the details page, but I'm starting here, so I'm going to write it this way and extract it later, because if I'm wrong and we don't need that, then I don't want to do the extra work. So here's what we do. We go ahead and we say, first off, id equals x.id. Whoops. Brendan, you know how to type. Day of week equals x.day of week. Local start time is going to be the tricky one, because that is a local time. Now, I happen to know where we can grab the code to actually do that, and that is, so this is converting this, so this is doing a toString and going to HHMM. We don't want to do it that way. We can do it that way, don't get me wrong. So this worked fine right here. It did its job. But we have access to this time pattern here, so we can do this instead. So I'm going to go ahead and say that. Now I can say local end time equals time pattern format, and I can say local end time. And then lastly, we need the time zone name. We want to print this in a friendly way. And the reason I want to do this is because we made the edit pages show the friendly way as well. So the idea is there are official names for these time zones, and that the majority of people don't know. They can probably guess which one they're in, but it'll be a little bit nicer if we put the friendlier name in. So let's take a look at our, I believe it's in our create page that we do this. And maybe I'm right. Time zone names. I think that's the one that we want. Get names for time zone, channel ID, current culture info, generic. Draco, do I know when VS 19 will be officially released? Draco, I don't actually know when it's going to be officially released. I would love to know that, but nope, I don't know. Okay, so that will get us those values. That should set up the whole thing. And then over here, when we get it, it should set up those values. And over here, we don't need to say channel anymore, because we just have it in scheduled streams. So we got rid of channel. Whoops. My mistake. Let's put that one back. That's now time zone name. We don't need that anymore, and we should be into the items. We don't need to two-string it here because we already put it in a reasonable format. Welcome, Involuntary. Thanks for that follow, and Lemurian Interactive, and I probably butchered that, but welcome. Thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. And Greg, hello. Greetings. As well as hi to Twitchloff and the Mike Jolly. Welcome, everyone. Glad to see people here. Wait, why has that got a red squiggly? I don't need a red squiggly. And get rid of that. We switched to the friendly name already. Okay. Let's go ahead and compile. I'm still not sure why that red squiggly is there. Oh, channel name. Greg, thank you very much for that Twitch Prime sub. Much appreciated. Yeah, what is love? Can we see some hype in the chat? We got, I know we've got a bunch of subs in here. Let's see some hype in the chat for our new DevChatter Dino in here. Let's go with channel name. Hey, Coated Beard, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Glad to see a bunch of happy people here. Good stuff. Good stuff. Channel name. We're going to set that right back here. Channel name equals channel dot name. Right there. That's going to be a property on this. Okay. Boom. Scheduled streams for channel name. There's the title. Create new. Those all look right. Do a quick build to make sure everything's working. Hey, Katrina. Welcome. Greetings. What's with all the red squiggles on the right hand side? Red squiggles. Red squiggles. What red squiggles? I don't know what red squiggles you were looking at, but I hope there are not a bunch of red squiggles anymore. Let's see if this works or this bombs. Hey, cool. All right, awesome. So it says Eastern Time, which is funny. So that is a super generic name, but that is a name that like I would recognize. Yep, that's right. So yep, Eastern Time. So that in Eastern Time, cool. Yeah, Crimson. That's well. So what this should do, if we're looking at how this pulled the names for those, when I actually do my mapping, I am taking the current culture, and what I'm doing is I am saying take the time zone and use the generic name. So that means not the daylight time, not the standard time, not the daylight savings time. So these are the two options. I have daylight, generic, and standard. So I'm using generic. That's why it's just saying Eastern Time. Yeah, so Crimson Green, you got to remember the United States is super arrogant, and so we know we named ours Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time, not Eastern American Daylight or anything like that. No, we just went for Eastern Standard Time and Eastern Daylight Time. So, like, everybody else can qualify theirs. Okay, so a couple of other things I notice here. We have these names on our list here, and these are not the nicest of names, and if you take a look over here, you'll see, oh, we niced them up over in this spot already. So I'm going to steal these and put those on our new view model as well. So let's go ahead and, which one did I take? Day of week? Yep, day of week. Okay, so these display attributes, essentially you can apply them to any of your properties. They are part of data annotations, and essentially that's something that comes in when you're doing web dev with ASP.NET, and they let you set up what you want your labels to show for each of these values. So I'm going to steal the one for this one, the start time, and the end time. So notice on these that I did not include local on that. I just said start time and end time. And the reason why I went with that is users don't think of it that way. When a user's using their system, they're not necessarily thinking, hey, is that the local time or what? Like when they create it, we said time. We've got these times, and we say the time zone. So they're not thinking of each of these being their own piece. That it's important that we know that. Whereas as a developer, we get the idea, yeah, we need to know that that's definitely the local time and not stored as something else and applying a time zone to it. That's how it is. The user's going to see this and be like, oh yeah, Monday at this in this time zone. So whereas a developer, we're going to need a little bit more clarification on exactly what that means. So we're the weird ones, but it's important and it helps us be very clear with what we're doing. Okay, so this is time zone. So I'm just going to say time zone. And remember, everyone, time zone is 2 words. John Skeet made sure to yell at us about that. And we trust John Skeet in all things. Okay, so that looks way nicer. Day of week, start time, end time, time zone, and we get all that. And the cool part is, by doing this little view model approach, I have this simple little structure for how it gets displayed in the list, and I don't need a lot of extra cruft on my model. So if we take a look at the scheduled stream model, so that's actually just the scheduled stream right here, you'll see that this has all the specific types and other stuff like that that we would need to deal with. But I don't have a bunch of display attributes on this because it might get displayed differently in different places in different ways. This is just modeled data in my system. So that's the idea here. Omega, welcome, greetings. I'm glad to have shown it there, Katrina. Yeah, that's one of those things a lot of people don't like. As developers, we don't see all the other tricks that everyone else knows. It's one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of live streaming, is because you can actually see someone else do something and be like, oh, that's actually really neat. I did not know that I could do that. The number of times I've learned something from just sitting next to another dev who did something cool, and it's like, oh, that's neat, I need to do that. So we're going to call this adding a display view model for scheduled streams. I'm going to go ahead and commit that. Next thing that I want to do, this same thing, we're going to use it on the details page. So let's go wire that up as well. We're going to change how we do the details page. So this is details. Details is going to have a backend page as well that wires up roughly the same way that that one just did. Now keep in mind, these still have the data context in the back. Don't worry about that. We're gonna get that cleaned up. Step at a time, everyone. Step at a time. Okay. So here's the details page. Niced up a little bit. Let's just call this code cleanup. So there's a quick code cleanup commit, because I want that separate from what we actually did, so if someone wants to look at the individual commit, they can see here's what the actual change was. Hey, Brandon, welcome. Thanks for that follow. Glad to see you're here. I hope you're doing well. And for those of you that don't know, Brandon Satcham's a really cool guy. I worked with him a bunch of years ago. Funny enough, Brandon and I worked at the same place that I worked with Fritz at too. A bunch of us worked there. It's good crew. Good crew. Okay, so scheduled streams. As long as we found a stream, we're not going to do the not found. But then what we want to do is I want to access that value instead. So scheduled stream equals. Let's call this model for now. Okay. Model dot to... So I have to edit view model there. I just want to say to... Which maybe I should have called it an edit model instead of a view model. I should have called it an edit model. That would have been smart, Brendan. That would have been smart. Okay, we're going to call it this instead, and I am going to leverage, I'm basically just going to extract the code we used before, and it is going to be pretty nice, I think. It's going to be pretty nice. So let's see what we end up with. Public static, it's going to return back a scheduled stream view model. It's going to be called this, and this. Stream source. Yeah, it's good to see you too, Brandon. And yes, those were good times, and it was quite a few years ago at this point. Whew. 5? Was it 5 years ago? Yeah, I don't think we've worked together in almost 5 years. It's been a while. Okay, so this is the code that I'm stealing right here. Return that. Instead of X, I need source. I could do a refine and replace or something like that, but I have a feeling that's... Ooh! I need time zone. What is that? Is that a string? That might be a string. So let's do this. To view model. And we're gonna say channel dot time zone ID. It's a string. Well, I will say, Brandon, you would actually you would definitely like the streams I do where I do JavaScript, because I blunder around like an idiot sometimes. Because I very much am a C# developer. I really like having types. Not totally necessary, but I do like having them when I can. We're gonna do that. So that is the code that we had here. We're gonna pass in that value and see how I nicely was able to just extract that over instead of duplicating the code. Saved ourselves a bunch of effort there. So quite nice. And when I check over here, I should have to view model, and I need to pass in this. So we included the channel. We went that way. Oh yeah, right. We would need to. So looking at this, I want to point out a couple of things here. So when we did the details page, because it pulls in the ID of the scheduled stream and not of the channel, we should consider putting in both IDs and put it in, and covering that in our URL. It's definitely worth checking. But anyway, let's see. So we have ID. So we include the channel, which does mean that we should have model.channel.timezone ID to pass in there. Which makes me realize on this end, I could make this optional. Oh, whoops. Derp. And I could do this and say time zone ID or channel time zone ID. And do one of these. Essentially, time zone ID is that or that, and then essentially allowing it to be in either one so you don't have to pass it. Well, that's fair. I think a lot of people probably blunder around in JavaScript. It does some things that definitely confuse us from time to time. No, I'm just gonna force you to pass it in. I'm not gonna know whether or not. So I could nice this method up and say like, yeah, you could pass it in. We could pull it off the scheduled stream object. But since this doesn't have a guarantee that you absolutely pass that data, because we don't have that safety net in C#7, which is what we're running, I don't want to take that risk. Figsy. We are building a website in ASP.NET Core that is essentially for the developer streaming community, is probably a good way of describing it. So we're building a website where you can schedule your streams that are recurring streams and things like that, or maybe special event streams, so that you can make sure that you're not overlapping someone else's scheduled event stream, and thus, you know, if I schedule a big stream and, hey, I'm going at the same time as someone else, we split the audience, it's like, oh, that was bad for both of us. I should have scheduled for a different time. Or you as a viewer are like, hey, you know, I want to see what other streams are going on Friday. I'm looking, because, like, I've got some time. I could put this on while I'm working on other things. And this is a place where you can do that. And also, I do want to mention to everybody that's in here, all the projects we work on this stream, including this one, are open source, and you can contribute to them over on GitHub if you're interested. All the source code for all of our stuff that we do here is at github.com/devchatter. I tossed a link over there in the chat, and there are links down below the stream, as well as links down below this when it's a video in the future. So if you are a future person, hello future person watching a recording of this, I hope the world is great in the future. I don't know how far in the future is, but I'm sure it is wonderful. Probably 100 years in the future from now when you're all watching this. Yeah, exactly. So I do think this could be useful for the Twitch community in general. And so I think there is value right now in setting this up as a developer one, but absolutely it could be configured with categories instead of just tags. But I do want to be able to have tags and that sort of thing, so someone could indicate, I want to watch, you know, C# streams, or JavaScript streams, or something like that. Maybe you love Visual Basic and you want to watch that stream, or you're an F# person. Maybe you like C++. And there might be a couple of tags that you like, and you could see what other streams are going on, which is also useful for scheduling. So I know that I overlap with some other streamers, but I really try not to overlap with too many streamers that do the same type of content as I do. That being said, it happens, and it's not a huge deal. So, but if you can avoid it, avoid it. Okay, so I think that will work. Let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. Whoops, didn't mean to click that pin. Gonna build and switch over here, and we are going to run this. We're of course just a Battleship Gray website right now. Oop, I didn't finish it because I didn't adjust the viewing page for it yet, which would help. So we still have day of week, but I no longer need these values. So I was doing these conversions here. That all happens centrally when I change to the view model. And we don't need to have these hard-coded strings or anything like that. So all that's getting nicer. Looks like we had a display value for the nice scheduled stream value here. But we want time zone name, because that's why we niced this up. Yeah. Time zone name. Way better. And scheduled stream. Ooh, channel ID to go back to the list. I didn't include that, but we're going to. We're going to get channel ID, which changes completely how I was planning on doing that now that I realize I need it. So here's the deal. When you're on the details page, you are looking at a scheduled stream based on its ID. You might need to go back to the channel, and for that we need the channel ID. So that means we do want to include that value, so I'm going to put that on the view model. So just for linking purposes, that is going to be on there. So we're going to have channel ID, and I want to look at here. Okay, that's good. Channel ID, and that's back to the list. But this isn't getting wired up now, so I need to wire that up. So in order to do that, I'm going to jump over here. And I realize since I need that value to be on there, we're going to have to set it. Instead of passing in time zone ID, I am going to make you pass in the channel, I think. So maybe, yeah, this one and then the channel. Okay. And then here we do the same. So I need you to pass in the channel because I need 2 values off of it. So channel dot time zone ID. Now it happens in the second case, we're passing in 2 references to that same object, but it doesn't really matter because remember, what you're not seeing behind the scenes is that C# is actually just creating pointers for you. So all we did was duplicate an extra pointer to that same value, which is not really a big loss. We did not copy the whole channel object when we did that. So I do want to point that out. We didn't do something totally ridiculous. It's just, oh, we have an extra pointer to it. No big deal. Okay. So that should be enough now. Let me take a look at the details page. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so when I reload this page shouldn't change at all. Whoops, I left something undone. What did I leave undone? Still builds? Okay, well, we'll find out. I left something undone. It's probably the channel value. We're probably null refing because we just switched that. So when we go to the schedule page, wait, what? Now there's no error? What do you mean there's no error? Okay, maybe I didn't fully rebuild. Because that's working fine. So Monday, the edit page will take us to, yep, there it is, that's Monday. Just to confirm, let's do Saturday. So Saturday's there, details, go to the details for Saturday, yep, that's it. And back to the list. Ooh, we did not wire up that property. Okay. So back to list doesn't wire up correctly. We're gonna have to take a look at why not. So there's our goof, and it is that channel value, so no surprise there. To view model on this scheduled stream should have the channel value to view model. Did I? Oh, I didn't set it. Derp. 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 Derpy derp. 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 That was pretty good derp. Why didn't this value get set to anything? The value you didn't set? Yeah, that one. Oh. Oh, okay, never mind. Makes sense though. So now we can go back to the schedule. Okay, so everything's working again. All wires together nicely, and back to list. Perfect. So the edit, the details, the delete, everything seems to be working the way that we want it to. That is nice. Okay. And I do realize, realistically, for these values, we should probably put these into a time format that people would like to see based on their culture. That we're not doing yet, but because we centralized where those values are set up, where we did that conversion, it should be an easy change to make. So, I won't worry about that just yet. We don't need to do it. That is stuff for a future day. Okay, so this is switch details page to a view model. There we go. Very nice, very nice. And you'll also notice that I haven't been pushing. That's because I didn't name this branch yet because, you know, I didn't have a good name in my head, so I just called it temp for now. And I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, our Git tip for the day is that when you're thinking of branches, don't think of a branch as like a full copy of all of your files when you're using Git. That's not how branching works. So in Git, the way that it works is it's actually keeping the change sets. So what you change from version to version, it's keeping essentially sequences of those. Think of it kind of like a linked list of those, sort of, kind of. And what I generally tell developers about the way that a branch works is I usually recommend you think of it like a pointer to a specific change set. Now remember, those change sets are a linked list, so you're pointing towards a single spot. If I just point another pointer at that same value and continue on, now my old pointer's still where it was and the new one has gone on, I can delete that old pointer, it's fine, I still have it in my chain. I didn't delete the value because that's still there. I just continued on with further down the linked list as I added new changes. So I usually recommend thinking of it like that because a pointer is easy to just create and throw away or anything like that. So if you ever need to rename a branch, just remember you're just pointing a new pointer at the same value. There's very little cost to doing it. You just Skull Crusher, yeah. I did the exact programming cycle. That's what it is. This should work. It doesn't. Let me recompile. Didn't change anything. Now it works. Yeah. So I did forget something, but it should have worked right off the. It should have worked. I don't know. I recompiled and yeah. Welcome to software development. Anyone who's new, that's how it works. You believe nothing has changed and suddenly things work, and you're like, oh, cool. All right, I'm happy now. It goes. All right, the delete page, we also want to display over here, so let's change up how the delete page works because it does have this little confirmation page that they set up for us, which is pretty nice. I like that they did a confirmation page. It's not pretty, but I like that the CRUD templates come with that. So let's take a look. Here's what we got for this. Are you sure you want to delete this? Scheduled stream. So it's using the display name for these. And again, I think we can switch this same one to using that same view model. So we're going to get triple use out of that. So I'm happy about that because you want to be careful not to make too many view models. So anytime you can reuse an existing one, if it's just a DTO like that, go ahead and do it. So in this one, I want to do almost the exact same thing as the details one. So it actually makes me wonder why the get isn't the same get, but maybe it will. Maybe we'll have a way of pulling that out so they are the same, because these are going to be the same. So we're going to say var model, and you'll see these are going to be identical in their gets. In fact, let me prove it to you. I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to do this. Oh man, almost like it's the same. Model, to view model. Oh, right, I didn't change the type on this side. So once I change that type, so the one that we're actually binding to, it's going to be this value here, then it's all going to work. Why the details page? Oh, okay, good. It's the delete that's bound. Why is this bound? On post async, grab that same one, and then remove it. Oh, yeah, okay. So var model to delete. Do I need to include the channel for this? I don't think I... Oh, yes, I do need to grab the channel because I need to go back to it here. The redirect should... yes, Crichton, this repository is public. And Skullcrusher, I see a question there. I will get to it in a second. Here's what I was going to do. I'm realizing that I maybe want to pull this channel ID off the bound object. And now here's what I'm thinking. So the concern is this value can be sent to us by the user, but if our pages are still going to do the permissions check, it doesn't matter that they got us on here because we're going to redirect to that page anyway. So a couple of things. We do need to make sure that we get permissions checks on all of these. We don't have them yet. Good job, Crichton. That is exactly how you get to the GitHub repos. So yes, this is all public, and we do accept pull requests on these. So if you are interested in contributing to this, I don't remember if we have detailed instructions, but generally speaking, just fork the repository, make some changes in your branch, and send them to us. Should be pretty easy to set up. It's a basic website using a local database. So you could use a user secrets file to specify your own if you want, to deviate from just the default there, but obviously not required. You can just new up a local database, because Visual Studio current versions do make a local DB really easy to use. So nice and easy. Skullcrusher, can you explain the difference between MVC and MVVM? No. So just to clarify, Skullcrusher, we are not using we're not using MVVM here. This is not model view model like setup exactly. So there's a couple of things. In this case, I'm using the term view model because most people are used to it. Really what we're actually working with here is a DTO. It's just that, what that stands for is a data transfer object. So the basic concept is this. We're actually using the Razor Pages approach, which I guess in some ways is kind of like a view model approach. It is kind of like an MVVM approach. It uses a page model, and that's actually what we are working with here. So each page has a backend sort of ish. Now, don't get scared. This isn't web forms. There's no page lifecycle. There's no false state that exists within this, but we are able to get a sort of one-to-one little piece here, in that your page that you're working with does have like on get, on post, on essentially all the REST operations on this page that you have access to, all the standard actions in HTTP that you're used to, and the difference. So the view model that I'm creating really is a data transfer object. The only reason I call it a view model is because most people are used to that term. I also do want to point out that we do still have controllers. So over here on the side, we have a time zones controller right here. This is a standard API controller. So if you're used to MVC, we actually still have full MVC support in ASP.NET Core. You did not lose any of this. So that's one of the beautiful things, is that you actually get access both to doing pages and controllers at the same time if you like. So the approach that I usually do is, if it's a standalone page, it does its own concept, it does its own work, it's going to get a page. I like that because it's easy for people to understand, and you don't have the nebulous, well, we had an action here, so there's a page, and it's kind of defined by this. I like the idea of the page because I think everybody can step in and easily understand and find them. So I think for other developers to join your project, taking the pages approach is an easy way to dig in and find things. But if you have a shared concept, maybe you're requesting the same data across many pages, and you're going to do that maybe from JavaScript or something like that, having a controller in place to grab that data makes sense. Or if you have widespread actions, say like a logout button. So you might have logout all across your application. That is probably going to call an action on a controller, with the idea being that you're going to call that from a lot of places. You're probably going to package it into some kind of a component somewhere that calls that to be able to do the logout action, or it's going to be on a shared page, which essentially works kind of like an old master page did. And it works the same way as the shared pages in MVC do as well. You just have this simple Razor page layout right here, and I could put my logout button on here. So notice that we have this login partial, and that's actually given to us by ASP.NET Core just out of the box. this is actually how it's doing that. So you don't see it behind the scenes because they embedded that controller, so it's not actually here. So if I show you, there is no, like if we look at areas, there's no controller here in Identity anymore. So with current versions of ASP.NET Core, you don't even actually see the controller for the login logout controls. That's baked into the assemblies now. So yes, they compiled a controller into your assembly for that, and the partial view. Although actually the partial I think is here. Hang on, the partial should be here. Login partial, it's right here. But they did put some things in there. Yeah, so here's the login partial, and this calls ASP page account logout, which I don't see account here. It's certainly not in shared. And if I look out here in the areas, identity pages view start is certainly not account logout. Okay, let me see. Other questions. A while ago, you worked on some Entity Framework extensions, if I remember correctly. What repo was that again? Crichton. You can find some Entity Framework stuff, some more interesting things about that in our main one, which is the DevChatter bot. So if you go to... so the GitHub link is going to send you here at github.com/devchatter, and you can open up the DevChatter bot right here. And this one has a lot of that kind of stuff in it. So a lot of cool things with Entity Framework in there. And yes, S&B alluding to the iRepository and iSpecification and stuff. Yep. API stuff in the controllers too. Yes, exactly. You can rescaffold the login stuff so that you can customize it though. Oh, very good information there, S&B. I assume that if you bring it back out, it just uses that instead of pulling. Like you just wire up the partial to use yours instead of the ones that are behind the scenes. Yeah, no problems, Skull Crusher. That is absolutely the point. Feel free to ask questions, everyone. I'm always willing to take a little detour to discuss stuff. I think there's a lot of good things there, and a lot of great information from the community based on S&B's comments about being able to rescaffold those. So if you do want to get access to them, you can. Okay. So model to delete is that one. Context schedule, remove that. Grab that value to redirect. So now the delete CSHTML front-end page. Whoops. Yep, it's red squigglying. It should be. We no longer need to two-string this. It already is a string. Same with that one. And it's using the formatting that we set up in the back. So remember, because we formatted it in a central location, when we decide to format it based on the user's culture information, we only have to do that in one spot. Oh, two-string, no. Time zone. Time zone name. There we go. And then same thing on that one. There we go. And that is channel ID. Okay, let's take a look at what that does. Where did I leave that? Right here. We rebuild. I don't think we need to restart the site for this. I think we can get away with a simple rebuild. But that's what I thought last time also. Okay, so we're going to go to this page. Looks fine. I don't want to delete that one. I'm going to create a new one, and we'll delete the new one. So we're going to put a new stream on Fridays, and we're going to say that it is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So there's our new stream time, Friday 11 to 14. And if I go to the delete page, it takes me here, Friday 11:14, day of week, start time, end time, time zone. Those look way nicer. Are you sure you want to delete this scheduled stream? That. And what happens if I click delete? We get an exception, of course. Why did we get an exception? I wonder what I tried to do. Sequence doesn't. Oh! Derp. We didn't get the value. Because I probably didn't call it with the channel. So down here, channel ID didn't come back up. On post, we said scheduled stream was the bound object. But I didn't confirm that it was on there. Well, either way, we don't actually need it, because it's on this. I was just thinking we could get it the other way, so I did. So let's go back to the schedule page. We'll create a new one real fast and then delete the new one. So this one will be Wednesday, and I'm just going to do 2 to 4 because it's in there. We already confirmed that those times display correctly, so Wednesday, back to list definitely works, yep, so that is showing 1. And then when I delete, it deletes. Okay, so great. So it does work again. Yay! So I couldn't get away with a little cheat that I wanted to do, but that's fine. Okay, so now, notice how much easier this third one was than the previous two. So that's actually the cool effect that I wanted to point out, is that as we switch to this, it actually gets a little bit easier each time because we leveraged everything that we built previously. Okay, so this is switch schedule delete to view model. And the nice part is we can essentially centralize all of the decisions about how that view, that data needs to get displayed, because that is our model for viewing. I kind of want to rename the other one, because I was realizing this is edit scheduled stream, but I kind of want to call this scheduled stream edit model. So I'm going to. So we're going to rename that, because I kind of like that concept, because that sort of points out that that's a model for editing, not a model for viewing. Which I think is I sort of just mentioned it before, and I kind of like the name. Maybe you all hate the name. If you do, let me know. And we can discuss better names. Okay, so edit scheduled stream. That's that. That's just switching that one to using the new model type. This one is just changing the type of that. It's still listed as view model right there. I should maybe change that. And then this is just the rename. So rename edit scheduled stream to scheduled stream edit model. Okay. Yeah, it was a nice derp there. Whoa! The bot repeated the same little message in the chat twice, 5 minutes apart. I forget how it randomizes. I know it's random, so I think it can do that, but I thought the probability of it doing the same one twice in a row was actually pretty low. Because I thought the way that we set it up, like, the more recently it had said a message, the less likely it was to say it, essentially to reduce the likelihood of repeats. But we did not explicitly prevent repeats. So, interesting. Okay, so we called this mapping extensions, but I think this almost ends up being the scheduled stream mappings, since that's all that's in here. So I'm going to do that. Scheduled stream mappings. That's what that file is. That's what that's going to be. Mapping extensions to scheduled stream. Did I typo that? No, I didn't. At least it wasn't where I thought it was. Rename that to that. Okay. So right now, that's the only thing that we view modeled was scheduled streams. Now I may dump all those into a folder together. We'll see what happens. Okay. Step at a time. Step at a time. Code getting nicer. Code getting better. I'm not going to do that. So now on this page, so we can add in that data. Maybe now it's time to deal with registration and login. As much as I don't want to mess with that. Because at some point we've got to get to the point where we're making sure that you're only editing the one that's like yours. Actually, let's nice this one up. Let's do the same thing here on the index page where we're displaying the time zone correctly. Because we didn't do that up there yet. So let's go up a level and fix that as well. So here's what we're going to do. First off, in data inside of view models, I'm going to make a folder. So we're going to make this folder called scheduled streams. Because without the S is the model type, so I won't run into problems there. And welcome, Cruxed, I'm guessing. Thanks for that follow, much appreciated. Okay, so there we go. Moving that up there. Next thing I want to do is create another... before I create the other folder, let me get these namespace adjusted. So these need to get moved and their namespace is adjusted. I think I can do these at the same time and it won't get too messy. Long as that's all I'm doing with them. Okay. Yep, just sorting my usings and removing the unneeded ones, which, for those of you that don't know, you can actually hold Control and then hit RG, and that keyboard shortcut, obviously, is to say that you want really good usings, so RG, really good, and that'll nice up your usings for you. So if you want it to fix those, it'll sort and remove the unused ones. Rubik's, welcome! Greetings! Okay, so that is move scheduled streams view model into own folder. And the next one I want to do now that we've moved all those is I want to create another folder beside it, and this one is all about channels. Now, I do get that scheduled streams are normally nested within a channel, but I am going to keep that separate for now. So channels is going to have starting off, we're going to have a basic channel view model. And then we're probably going to have a channel edit model. So I'm going to go ahead and create that one now. And maybe they're the same, maybe they're not. We'll see. But I think they need to be different. So we're going to have channel view model and channel edit model. I'm guessing Z Lucient. First off, welcome, hi, greetings. Some ASP Core, have you seen the 2019 preview changes? I've looked a little bit at the 2019 changes, but I haven't used them yet on stream. I am really looking forward to a lot of those changes. Specifically, I am looking forward to C# 8. I'm still optimistic. I know I've got some concerns about a couple of points, and some of our viewers have pointed out some of those. But I overall think that it's going to be positive. I can't think of a time where I thought a new version of Visual Studio wasn't a boon to the community. So I am really looking forward to the next version. And Rubik's, your question, do I ever use while loops? I use them sometimes. Very specific cases. Nearly everything that I do is either going to be a for loop or a for each loop, though. The do while loop has a couple of uses where it is more valuable, but the while loop is really only used when you need something that ends up essentially in a loop that's running until it gets canceled by an action. Is really the only case for a while loop to exist. And it's essentially like getting an infinite loop running for something. So if you're doing a simple game or something like that, you could use that as your background game loop. But other than that, you're going to use for and for each loop almost exclusively within your programming. And Rubik's, we are doing, we're actually using the Razor pages of ASP.NET Core, not the MVC. However, it's still in there, and we are going to use it a little bit. Yeah, so as while loops are common in recursive functions, yeah, it can end up in a couple of places, but most of the stuff you're going to write as a programmer is going to be a for each loop, probably these days. Let's see. Viewers. Oh yeah. Preview 1.1 is now that's very cool. SNB. I couldn't agree more. I was surprised by the open source WinForms and WPF rolled into the 2019 preview. Oh, I think they knew that there was going to be a lot of hype for that, so they wanted to make sure that they included that. And yes, I will still say that I do think that WPF and WinForms are still reasonable ways of making Windows applications. If you want to do those. I am looking forward to someone out there making essentially an implementation so we can sort of abstract away the UI and get the same kind of functionality off of Windows. So essentially, you could make something as simple as a WinForms app or a WPF app and get it running on Linux or Mac. But we'll see what they end up doing. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. What are we displaying on these pages? Name, URI, time zone. Are we displaying anything else? Channel. What data do we? I think we want time zone name. So name, URI. So first off, we need int ID. That's there whether it's displaying it or not. Do I store the URI as a string right now, or do I actually store it as a URI? I'm gonna store it as a string and just not worry about that. I'm gonna do time zone name. I don't really feel like, yeah, do I put in the country code? I don't know whether I want to put in the country code or not. Maybe number of scheduled streams. Really? Is there a storm here? There might be a storm here. I think I hear rain. I didn't know it was going to rain today. That's news to me. Okay, we never display that one. This one we do, so this is going to have a display attribute as well, and we're going to have... we're going to put it on there even though it is just name. Wait, why does it not like that? Display... Oh, display name equals name. Derp. That's funny. See? Display name equals name. URI is going to stream and that. So this is going to be time zone. We don't have to put the name on there because people get that when they read the name of a time zone, it's the name. That'd be redundant. Right, and schedule. We're just gonna call this scheduled streams for now. I think that'll be clear. Let's see what it looks like when we do that. Let's go to the index page. Channels index. So first things first, let's remove the unneeded namespace from there. There we go, all cleared up. So we're going to have a list of, instead of a list of channels, let's go with channel view models. And that we're going to call channels instead of channel. I don't know why that was singular. And so this toList async just isn't going to work for me. I want to do something else. So let's do this. Let's make our mapping now. So we're going to call this channel mappings. This is going to be a public static class. And the reason we're putting the mappings in this separate piece is the fact that we don't want to have knowledge of the view models in our actual model object, and we don't really want to have the model object in our view model or edit model or anything like that either. So we're putting it here just to keep it separate, and this will know about those pieces, but they won't really know about each other because they don't need to. So let's say public static. What do we want to call this? This is a list of channel view model. That's 2 channel view models. And actually, can I async this? I wonder if it'll let me async this. Is that the order that I put it in? I don't remember. You know what? I'm not even gonna do that. It's gonna be too annoying. We're just gonna do this. So do channel view models async. Maybe just channel view model async. We'll just do a single one. We'll do a single one, and we'll convert the set all at once. So we'll say this channel. Channel source. Return new channel view model, and we're gonna say ID equals source.id, name equals source.name, we're gonna do time zone name equals time zone ID formatted, so I'm not gonna do that just yet. URI equals source.URI, and the scheduled stream count is going to be source.scheduled streams count. So this needs to get fixed. Do you intend to extract the models out into a core assembly eventually, or are you happy to keep everything in the web project? S&B, those models are going in a core project. Don't you worry. That is disappearing out of here. That's going to go over into a core project. I might keep the data code, so the actually my models are already out here. Yeah, they're out here. They're already in core. Yeah, no problem, S&B. I thought they might have been there too. But they're not. The entity framework code I might extract out somewhere else, or I may keep it in here. Right now, we use entity framework for so little that we can still replace it without it being a pain in the rear. So we'll see what happens with that. So there's our channels. We're gonna select. And this is going to be models. So this is going to be model dot 2 channel view model. Yep, 2 channel view model. There we go. Do list. Okay, that should be able to work. Yes, this has identity for the authentication in it right now. Yeah, exactly, S&B. Dapper's, of course, on the top of the list. Dapper is one of my favorite ORMs of all time, I'd probably say. I used it for a handful of projects. I like Dapper a lot, but part of that's that I don't mind writing a little bit of SQL in order to get it to query the way that I want. And it still does the mappings to the objects, and that's really what I like out of an ORM anyway, is that at the end of the day I get objects out of it. And it's got a lot of built-in features to avoid having to write the stupid SQL that I don't really need to write. And by stupid, I just mean, like, you know, the stuff that we write a million times that we all already know how to do and don't really need to write again. So, yep, we're using identity. We're not really using the authentication piece just yet in this project, but we will. So that should convert to the models. Let's take a look at the page, which is going to have a couple of problems here. First off, that one. Name URI, and this is time zone name, not time zone anymore. That again is channels. And now item should be fine, and this should be time zone name. And then we only used ID down here, so I'm not going to get tripped up by that this time. No trickiness there. And this is not called index. This is called I'm going to call this my channels for now. With the idea being that this is a management page. This is a page for managing your channels. So I am going to put that name on there for now, and we'll fix that everywhere later. Again, step at a time. So we grab the models, we switch them to that, and then that should just work. So our nice display names are in here. When we do that mapping, I need this to actually work. So let's take a look at the other one, because I just need the static call that I have to make. So we're using a database, we're using a little library of these types. This is a NuGet package that is designed essentially to make time zones a little bit more user-friendly. So the idea being, people don't usually know their time zone's actual ID. So we're used to more convenient names. So right now this says America/New York. Well, I don't live in New York, so I don't usually think of my time zone as America, New York. Now, I'm a nerd, I'm a tech nerd. I know that I'm in America, New York. I know that I'm in, like, usually I would say, like, Eastern Time, New York is often what's listed, something like that. With the idea, or maybe I'm Eastern Time and then there's also an Eastern Time Indiana or something like that listed, which again I'm not in. But the idea is that those are usually there. So let's look at what happens when we run this. If we don't error, I didn't check that I got everything. That's what running the code is for. So, translate the page. No, thank you. I'm not sure why I'm translating it. But there we go. So it says Eastern Time now instead of America/New York, which is more what I'm used to seeing. There's the name. There's a schedule. Should take me there. Why do you want to keep translating this page? I'm not sure what about this page it thinks needs translating. You recently used Dapper. For just the selects is great, but for inserting nested objects into the database, it's so painful. And just wish but what was it? Gather. Yeah, so those kinds of things, actually, you'll run into problems actually with a lot of ORMs. Funny enough, I actually worked in a system one time where it was using 3 ORMs for different types of operations. It was all hidden behind, essentially our own, data layer. So there's, essentially a repository layer. For more complex operations, we use different ORMs for different things. I thought it was both nice and painful, because everyone needed to know, if you were actually working inside of that Like, if you had to deal with the code inside of those data access objects, you had to know more than one ORM and how it was going to connect. But super, super weird. I wouldn't recommend it, but I have seen it. I've worked in a lot of projects. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so on schedule, I want to do something. We added this property. Here's what I want to do. I put in the schedule, like, number of things. How can I display that? I think I want to do this. Will that look nice? Item dot schedule streams count. Will that look nice? Oh, we didn't actually pull them. Okay. Because we didn't pull the data when we were here. Models include streams. There we go. I think I actually have to build for this to work. I don't remember if it's gonna if it'll pick up the back end in that page. I think it will, but I'm not 100%. So we're just gonna do that. Why do you keep asking me that? Hang on. Okay, crazy thing. Anyway, it does say schedule 4 now, so it shows me that there are 4 items in there, which I think is actually kind of nice, because that'd let you know, like, oh yeah, I've got things scheduled on that stream. So I kind of get a little bit of information without even digging in there, and I think that is pretty nice. So I like that. Obviously, we're still Battleship Gray. I'm not dealing with styling just yet. We'll work on that another time, but I like how that's shaping up. We're not going to put in the edit model yet. I created it because I knew I was going to need it, and I just wanted to figure out the naming. So this is... fix up the channel index page to use view model. And let's just make sure these are all... Yeah, okay, good. Oh, gather. Yeah, no problem. I will gladly explain that. So, here's what we did. That last little change that I just made. So, in Entity Framework, this applies to EF Core as well as full Entity Framework if you're not using EF Core. In your data context, you have database sets defined, which are essentially your access points to your tables of data. When you access one of these, it's going to pull, by default, unless you've told it otherwise, you can configure it to, you can configure what you want the default to be. But in our case, since we haven't done that, when you pull a channel, it does not also include related tables. So there is a table of channels. There is also a table of scheduled streams. There's a foreign key relationship. Because we don't want it to just go pull our whole tree of data, what we do is we say this is just going to pull the table unless you tell it to include something that references this using a foreign key. So there's a one-to-many relationship from a channel to a scheduled stream. So there are many scheduled streams that we're telling it, okay, go ahead and include that. So when I fetch this channel, also pull back all of its associated scheduled streams into this object. Now in this case, I'm only doing that just to grab the count. But I happen to know that in a moment, I am actually, like, if someone clicks on that, I'm going to load to this same query. And so what's going to happen is Entity Framework is actually going to cache this value, and it won't make the second database call. It should pull back the same data set a second time without making it, fingers crossed. And then we won't actually have pulled the extra data that it seems like we pulled, because we're going to need it eventually anyway when we go to the page that lists all of the scheduled streams. That doesn't mean we're going to do it for all of them, but again, we're dealing with such a small subset of data for an individual user to pull back just their scheduled streams. Even if someone has, say, 100 scheduled streams on their user account, maybe they run a channel that has many people hosting streams, it's still not going to be a ton of data. So very easily manageable. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question about the use, what the include is doing there, Gather. Lucient, what do you use for versioning? You started with TFS and I find Git to be archaic. Interestingly, yes, in some ways Git seems archaic. We are using Git, but the funny thing being, it's almost a step back, but it's a step forward in some ways as well. I think it is the complexity, and it is actually the complexity of Git, which both makes it powerful and makes it seem a little archaic, in the sense that it seems like an older piece of technology because of the fact that it is so advanced. There's not a like simple, just click, 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 click. Like, there are some GUIs that make it easier to use, but there's a lot to learn about Git. Pro tip. I actually have a course on Pluralsight called GitHub for Windows Developers. It's years old, but it does explain a lot of Git concepts and does dig into Git. So if you are interested in learning and already have a Pluralsight account, go ahead and check it out. If not, they usually have like free trials and things like that where you could see it as well. But I do expect that Git is going to get more integrated into more things, especially with Microsoft's acquisition of GitHub. I think that they're doing a lot of good things for GitHub, and I fully expect there's going to be more GitHub integration, more Git and GitHub integration into the Microsoft build platforms. So as you're watching all the Visual Studio like team system websites and everything like that exist today, they're just going to get more integrated with Git and GitHub. It seems weird, but I really recommend digging in. So depends on what you like. So the one I'm using here is called GitHub Desktop. The reason I use it is because it is clean and easy for most people to understand, so I think that works well for the stream. I know plenty of people who swear by Git Kraken and plenty of people who swear by SourceTree. There are also some pretty decent integrations into Visual Studio. I'm not a big fan of that one, but I did recently see that there were some nice updates to the VS Code extension for connecting to Git as well. So in fact, even with access to seeing GitHub pull requests in there. So if you haven't taken a look at that in a while, I would recommend you take a look at it again. Also, Will, thanks for that lurk. I did see you come in. And no problem. Glad for the recommendations, everyone. They made private repositories available and free. Exactly, Skullcrusher. So I am thrilled by the fact that Microsoft is recognizing that a lot of people would like to just have a private repo, and they probably also realized a lot of developers went to the GitHub competitors just to get the private repo. I'm thrilled by that. I think a lot of people are going to bring their Bitbucket repositories back to GitHub. As free ones, essentially being, because that was always the model with Bitbucket, is they let you have free ones as long as you were below a certain number of collaborators. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, if you're working on a personal project, why not let you have a free repo? You're clearly not a big business. You're not their target for who they're trying to sell to. Yeah, so I know a lot of people that did that. GitLab and Bitbucket are loaded with people that have their free repos there, which is great for them because if you got used to it and you liked it, you might become a customer and bring your company there as well. But I think that this is the smart move from Microsoft. Essentially, I'm sure it was Microsoft telling GitHub, hey, you don't need to worry as much about making money. Feel free to do this. And then GitHub being like, yeah, okay, thanks, guys. I'm sure that's what it was. I mean, in not in those exact words, but I'm sure it was something like that. One of the big things that happens a lot when a new company takes over is the decision of how money should be spent and how important profits are, which Microsoft probably doesn't see GitHub as its profit center. I think the GitHub acquisition is a longer term play than just try and make as much money as possible off of GitHub. Otherwise, that would be quite silly. I don't know why they would do that. Okay, so I'm going to open up this one. Let's take a look at the edit page real fast. Yep, I find it funny how many people were like on Bitbucket mainly just because their pricing was better for smaller teams and things like that. Let's see. Yep. Still need that. Bind to the channel. Channel edit model. Var model. Let's see, channel equals model dot to channel edit model. Let's go to the channel mappings. Public static channel edit model. This channel source. There we go. Turn a new one of those. And it's, I'm betting, going to be very similar to that one, but let's figure out what needs to be on this object before we go any further. Okay, so we're pulling that back. That seems to work. We made that basic object. Okay, so clearly we need the ID. We're going to put that on there. Regardless of all else, it will need an ID. Yep, there we go. I don't know why they have a redundant else in the standard template there. Just seems silly. Okay. And edit CSHTML right here. RKJ, welcome. Thanks for following. Much appreciated. Okay, so name. Yeah, we're gonna need the name. We're gonna need. So they're gonna want to edit their name. They're gonna want to edit their URL. They're gonna want to edit their. They might change which country they're in, so we're gonna need to figure out how that goes on there, and we're gonna need to edit the time zone ID. So country code, I think, actually needs to be the country code. The time zone ID needs to be the time zone ID. Maybe other values, but let's just put those on it for now. We'll hide everything else. So time zone ID, country code, name URI, time zone ID, country code. Okay. So so that's string URI. Whoa! I don't even know what that was. Way to get your hand off the. Way to get your hand off the keyboard there, Brendan. Nomi, hey, welcome back. Greetings, and I'm hoping you don't mind that I call you Nomi because it's quick and easy. I usually try to go with some easier version of most people's names, just for speaking on a stream. So. If I ever do nickname you and you don't like whatever one I chose, let me know some other variant that I could go with that would be pretty easy. And yes, Happy New Year, everyone. And welcome, Ancient Coder. Greetings. Happy New Year, all. It's a good start. Good start to the new year. Whoops, did I not bring in name? I didn't bring in name. Derp. String. Name. There we go. Name, country code, time zone. Perfect. Now one of the reasons why we want to do this is this also helps with security because of the fact that we're defining these. This is the only value set you can send us. New Year was 7 days ago. Yeah, and not everyone was here to say Happy New Year. Ancient Coder, we are working on our dev streams project, so this is our project where we're building a website that will allow developer streamers to post any streams that they're going to be doing. So your regularly scheduled streams, which we just call scheduled streams, as well as special event streams, which we haven't set that part up yet, but we want to. And it will both help people looking to schedule their streams find good places where they're not overlapping with people that are doing streams of similar content. Or, for example, you could line up to be streaming when like I finish my stream or something like that to increase the chance that that you get a host or an auto host from me. And then there are other things, or anybody else for that matter. That being the idea. And then as a viewer, you can also find other streams that you want to watch. So the goal being that you could pick that you want to find streams where the streamer does C#, for example. You could filter based on that. And that's sort of what we're trying to build. We're just doing this as like a fun community project. I am open to both viewers sending in pull requests as well as any other streamers who want to contribute to this as well. I think it's a useful thing for the community. I picked up a domain for it a while back and had been planning on building it, but I was delaying because you'll remember back in about a month ago, we did a stream where we had John Skeet on, and he talked with us about time zones and made sure that we were going to be handling those correctly. So he actually helped us really get the start on this project. So big shout out and thanks to him for that. And so that's actually, so part of the reason I delayed this is because I was like, this is a really awesome project for him because it is so focused on time zones and timing that I think it's a really great chance to invite on someone that actually knows that really well. So I delayed starting this project for a few months in order to make sure that we get John on to talk with us. So, yep, that is what we are building. Okay. So in theory, that might work basically already. I mean, I need to do the reverse conversion, but I think it almost works. As is on those. On post, attach. Wait, what? That is not what you want to do. Okay, so this is the one that gets a little bit messy. So I'm gonna look at what I did for this one. Okay, so I did apply edit changes as my extension method. So that makes sense. I totally get that. Hey, that's funny. Good luck. All right, let's see. So I don't want to attach that. I want to grab the one off of the context. Channel, model. Obviously I want that one. This is channels. We're not going to update anything else, so we don't need to include any additional values, which means that we can find a sync based on the channel ID. So this is the one that they're trying to modify. So that should get us their model object. And then we want to do the same thing we did here, which is when we say model and apply changes from the view model, which in this case our view model is called channel. And let's put this in our mappings file. So we're going to put that over here. First off, let me leave those like that, because I haven't actually done that mapping yet. How did I do the other one? Did I return that? Let me take a look. No, I made it a void. This channel source. And then the next object is going to be a channel edit model. That's funny, I wrote chem. C-H-E-M. Edit model. And I essentially want to do sort of the same concept, where I just assign the values of the model based on the edit model. So model dot, whoops, I called it source. I should call it model. So in this case, the difference being model and edit model is significant, that because we really are just doing a mapping, so these names actually make some sense. Model equals edit model dot name. Oops. And yes, I know there's some other ways we could do this, and actually keep track of dirty flags and things like that, but I'm not terribly worried about it. There's a weird sound over here. The game that's playing in the chat there. So right now, the only stream that actually includes this game, is, as far as I know, is ours. I don't think anyone else has actually gone and put this on their stream. But yes, Crichton, we can auto mapper these. Yes, I did actually mention to someone in our last stream on Saturday that if they want to pull request us in the auto mapper stuff for this, it's pretty easy to do, and they could just go ahead and send it to us. No complaints here if you want to. So I did country code, and last one is time zone ID equals edit model dot time zone ID. So name, URI, country code, time zone ID, country code, time zone ID. It's surprisingly easy to die in our little zombie survival game there. What do we call it? Wasteful. Yes. That's the game that was playing on the stream for anyone that's wondering. We built that. It runs in the chat. So I'm guessing. You know, I actually haven't even tried saying your name. Holitz is how I'm gonna guess. But let me know if I totally butchered that. But yeah, that game Holitz was playing over in our game room, which is one of the channels here on the stream, and so you can actually just type in. So that game was being played through chat. So cool little fun thing that we did there. So you can't edit the ID, but name, URI, and country code you can. Whoops, I didn't mean to close that. We're gonna open that back up again. So there's our quick little mappings. Maybe we need to do something else with it, but I haven't done anything yet. So let's do this real fast. ID equals source.id. Name equals source.name. And again, this is where AutoMapper would do this, obviously. But we're not using it right now. And we can add it in if anyone wants. I don't usually wire it in for anything this simple, but again, it's so simple that we can. Yeah, all the code that we do here on the stream for everything, including that game, is available on GitHub. Whoops, I clicked the wrong button. I meant GitHub. And at github.com/devchatter. You can find it all out there. It is open source, so you can send us pull requests. You can also just run your own version of it. And that goes both for the bot that was playing the game as well as anything else the bot does in chat over there, as well as the code that I'm working on right here. This obviously isn't committed and pushed right now, but that's because I'm working on it at this moment. But all previous stuff before today on this project that we're doing here, the Dev Streams code, that is out on GitHub, so feel free to take a look. Oh, that's funny. I realize I forgot to live share this over to our patrons on Patreon. So normally I when I'm working on a project where there's not anything sensitive, I'll usually try to send them a read-only link. I'm not super great about remembering to do that. Wonder, can I just click this, or is it gonna like show the URL somewhere? And yeah, feel free to join our whoops, didn't mean to do that one. I meant to click on no. What? I meant to switch it to read-only. Well, I'm going to end it then, because I can't switch it to read-only right now, because I'm not seeing the button. But I won't worry about it anyway, so as I was saying, feel free to join our Discord. If you are interested, Discord is a chat application. I posted a link to it over in the chat. It is a place where a bunch of us discuss other programming stuff from time to time, so while we're not streaming, it's a good place to go to, discuss the cool stuff. So if you want to talk about what new things you tried out in the newest version of Visual Studio, that is a great place to do it. Cyril hey, welcome, greetings. Okay, so we got that. So this is going to apply the changes. Is this the right one? No. This is going to apply the changes to the channel. It's going to apply it to the model. Because we modified the model that came out of there, when we call save changes, that's going to work. Then it's going to say channel ID doesn't exist. That's correct. Channel exists if any of those. Yep, okay. I think that will be good enough. Let's find out. Run the site, and we'll see what we get. So we go check out the channels page. This may work. We'll find out. Okay, so country codes aren't wiring up. That's fine. We thought that might happen because the values aren't the same. So we'll make sure country code wires up. But these values came in, so that's good. Let's take a look at that. So I didn't actually modify this page very well. So channel country code. Model countries, channel country code. There's country code, country code, country code, country code. Google.com. Let's go with United Kingdom. That sounds fun. Okay, and it doesn't want that in there. Cyril Ash, we are breaking our DevStream site. So this is the one that does scheduling for developer live streams. You like my style or Cyril Ash's style? I like Cyril Ash's style too, so I could totally understand if that's the one you're talking about. What do these wire up as? This is bound with the model countries. You know, I'm currently wondering, did this work before? So here's how I'm going to find out. We're going to do this poor man's way. Did this work previously? Because I don't remember. Also, M. Lyons, I know I saw you come in here. Welcome. Well, I should say welcome back. I don't think I said hi. Programming is 40% breaking things, 10% fixing things, 10% implementing things, 40% understanding actual feature requests the way they... Okay, yeah, I totally agree with Siralash right there. No, it didn't work before. Okay, good. We're in the clear. We didn't break anything. It already wasn't working. So, there we go. Didn't break anything. Or at least didn't break that. Okay. So in order to make this work, we're going to need country code to come in and be selected. How do we make that get selected? By default. Select this ID, class, form, hat. So we do an ASP for the time zone ID. We called it time zone. I think the only way we're going to get that to work, because we bind this up with JavaScript even though we're using C# for everything else, I think the only way that we're going to get that to work is if we actually make this value be in the JavaScript somewhere. So maybe like set it at some point to that starting value. Let me see where that came in. Streams create. That's how we wired that up? Also, let me check out the chat here. Programming is 99% arguing with people that make twice as much as you about things they don't understand. Oh yeah, that could be true, Crimson. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter what language. Programming's programming. It doesn't matter what language you're in. And yeah, time zones are a complicated thing. Listen, can you use the HTML selected versus select? Is that what you mean? Lucient, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Yeah, dates, times, and time zones are always super complicated. So here's what we've got set up. We have in this page, so we are grabbing the app element on here, back in this, and we're setting up selected country, selected time zone, and time zone options as our values. Now, we're then watching selected country so that when this value changes to something, first off, we're ignoring the previous value, but if we did want to see what it was, we could potentially do something with that. We then call fetch time zones, where we call out to our API controller and ask for a value. And the value we get back, the values we get back are the time zone choices. So here's the two challenges. First off, we need to start off with a set of time zones that matter, I think, and then just have them selected by default, which I think in this case means that selected country needs to somehow be based on those values. Not sure. I'm going to need to look into that. Yeah, so the challenge, Siralash, is, and we this is part of why we had John on here, is we specifically don't want to store our values in UTC because that adds a couple of problems we don't want to deal with. So here's what I'm gonna do. This is in the same working condition it was before. So it's the edit channel page to use channel edit model. I'm going to commit that for now. And then we can wire it up. We can fix that up to work in a bit. The circumstance that I'm thinking about is this. When we get this page initially, we grab the list of countries, but since we know the current country, we should also grab the initial set of time zones of select list item, and we'll call it time zones, because we can get the time zones for that country and just pull them initially. Sirilash, yeah, absolutely. So they're actually, whoops, hang on. What the? That's weird. There's no error from the bot. So, yeah, hang on a second. I'm not sure why my bot's being derpy. There's no errors, but it doesn't seem to be running. So I'm gonna go ahead and kill the bot and restart it, and we'll see what happens. Oh, actually, it's not gonna be dead yet. I'll give it a minute, wait for it to die. But our YouTube channel does have our our videos on it. My channel. There we go. So right here, there should be recent videos. Should be a fairly recent video. We didn't do that many over the holidays. Right here. So let's go ahead and copy that link. So there it is. Thanks, Sirilash. Much appreciated. Needed that bug report. So there's a link to the YouTube video. For anyone that is interested. I recommend watching it not while we're streaming here, but it's a good thing for after. If you want to catch up and see some cool things about time zones, John will tell you a lot about them. He knows way more about time zones than most people. Do I call the controller for that? I technically can. It should be hilarious. Get time zones for country. So we're calling that right now. Calling get with country code and offset. Oh, man, that's a tough call. I don't know that I want to do that. That seems hacky to me. Here's the thing that I feel bad about doing. If I did this, if I asked for that controller, realistically, I think I just need to take this code and put it somewhere else. So we're going to move this code elsewhere. Did I actually put the dependency in here? Node time. We didn't put time zone names up there, so let's add that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to manage the NuGet packages for this whole solution. So that's going to let us change where this is. Stool Penner was in a different time zone today. Just wait until you have to worry about leap seconds. Cyrilash, I don't have to worry about leap seconds. That's what I let other people worry about that. Let's see. Installed. Time zone names. Oh, that's funny. There are new versions of both of these. Let's install that in core. I'm okay with time zone. Like, this application is so embedded in the concept of time and time zones. I'm okay with these dependencies getting a little bit in here. I don't want to get crazy with it, but I'm fairly okay with those. Oh, hi, Jolie. And welcome, Iliya's. Thanks for that follow, much appreciated. Hopefully I didn't totally butcher your name. Hopefully one of those was at least close. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and upgrade them now. We're going to get both of them. We're going to upgrade both of them. We're going to install both of them. So upgrade that to the latest version, and I'm going to do the same thing with my Node time as well. Thanks, Cat. Breaking the illusion, man. Cat's knocking the green screen. You guys should kind of see that. Kind of close. Well, feel free to let me know, and I will try to get closer. I do try with names. It's as best I can, because I know it's nice when people say your name right. So if there is some suggestion that you could make, I will try to say it a little bit better. No guarantees. So what we are programming is we're actually working on a little website to how to say this. It is for scheduling streams. So the idea being that if you as a viewer want to look up who is doing a programming stream when, you can go here and see who is going to be streaming. And then in addition to that, if you wanted to stream yourself, you could go here to look for good times to stream by seeing when everybody else is. So you can either line up to be when their streams are over, or just not overlap them, or anything like that. So you can find good times for that. Good way of just helping the community of programming streamers out there. It's more like all. The word all with the Iyas in it. Alias? Maybe I'm close. I've been called Brendan many times, and I'm sure Brendan has been called Brandon. Brandon, that is correct. I have been called Brandon many times, even by people that know me very well. I am happy to tell you, though, that my mother-in-law, who has a nephew who's a Brandon, also calls him Brendan sometimes. So I consider that a victory. When you can get somebody to mess up someone's name that they've known longer. So, yep, always good stuff. And yes, I do get called Brandon all the time, and I'm sure you've been called Brendan, which clearly is just people that don't understand the difference between an Irish name and an English name. I mean, you wouldn't send Brandon Satcham against the Mummy, for example. That'd just be foolish. You send a Brendan against the Mummy. Your name is Zach and you get called Josh by people? Okay, that's a weird one. I don't know how you go from Zach to Josh. That's a leap. That's a leap. Okay, so those got updated and that one got added. Alright, looks good. And then this is where I was going to call that. Okay, so But I was deciding that I instead want to extract out that code, so it's not really even in the controller. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to make a class. I'm going to call it foo time zone thingy. Did I make it obvious that that's not going to be its permanent name? I hope so. Public. It's going to be void for now. Do something. I like to make it obvious when I'm not going to keep that name. Alright, let's figure out what this is. This is a private method. It's just going to go there. Okay, there you go, private method. Congratulations on making the move over into here. Okay, now this code. You're going to go here too. We're going to do that and just see if this works. This is basically my way of extracting all this code into a better place. Exactly. Hi, Josh. Yeah, I have no idea how you get that one. I will give you that. I have no idea how you go from Zach to Josh. I absolutely get what, like, I don't get mad at people when they call me Brandon. It's like, okay, yeah, names really similar, you just missed an irony or like transposed them in your head. Not a big deal. It's not like I'm upset about it. I do find it kind of funny. It's like, okay, so foo time zone thingy is still a great name. So what is this? This is not actually how I want this to end up being. It may not end up being an iDictionary of string. That conversion might happen in the controller. To dictionary, key, country, first, time zone. What is that? Country, time zone name? So get threshold value things. Well, maybe it still will, actually. Okay, so get time zones by country code. What is the difference between these? That is including the language. So, okay. Stupid thing being that there's no actual dependency there, so that can technically be static, which I'm not huge on, but I'm gonna be honest about it. Because it has no dependency, we didn't actually do that. Let's see. The worst I get is Chris instead of Christopher. Cyrilash. Yeah, I actually, so I will mention to you that I don't like it when like in like a personal situation, like meeting someone, when they shorten a name like that. There's one thing, so I don't mind shortening people's names here on the stream because I'm saying it on a stream. I'm not like always having like a direct one-to-one, you know, in like face-to-face personal conversation with each and every person. Like, I will have a conversation with you, but you obviously have to keep in mind that I'm having a conversation with you with a bunch of other people here as well. So I want to both respect you and them if I can. So I usually try to shorten, especially the longer names, if there's a lot of syllables. So for example, like Will gets called, you know, William Bennett the Fourth. So I have no idea if that's actually, I don't actually call it W. You know, W is longer than Will, right? Anyway, How far are you in the project? Anything good to show for it yet? Get time zone by, and the other one is get time zone. Is it? They sort of both are. Get time zone. Yeah, they're almost the same thing. I'm gonna say in language, just because this one includes language, and there's our distinction, but it's private. So get time zones for country. So we'll change it to that name. This needs a better name. So this is our time zone names. At which point, that's already on there, so it's going to be time zone names get for country. There we go. That I like better. Time zone names get for country. Okay. So now when we run this, first off, let's put it here, because it now just is the code for this. Turn time to noon. What? Public static, what? Oh no, that's the name of this. Yeah, I can't call it that. That's the name of the library. That's foolish. Derp. Time zones. Time zones. Time zone data. Time zone data. Get for country. Country code. Threshold. Turn that. I derped. Just a little. Let's change the name of that file. There we go. And then in this, I can say, so that's countries. Time zones equals model.country code all right. I gotta convert this from a dictionary to a select list. So I'm gonna do that like this. And I saw some stuff in chat, everyone. I will get that in a second, so just give me a moment. x.key equals model.country code, right? And then on this one, it's X dot key equals model dot time zone ID, I think. Hang on. Whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, but the other one doesn't have by in the name if you were asking why they're not the same. Oh, yeah. You are correct. You're correct. K Park, time zone names problems. Oh, man, I wish I'd seen that sooner. That's awesome. Question for Brendan in chat. Would there be merit to extracting and filtering audio and text from these streams into various consumable formats, audio clips, text snippets, memes, etc.? Would the cost effort involved exceed the value of extra consumable content in a given stream? So short answer, M. Lyons, is I think there potentially would be value in that kind of thing, as long as it's automated. That goes with almost everything. As long as it's easily automated. I think it would be useful to have that kind of a feature. I think there are definitely things you could do with that, especially like trying to essentially take the audio and create subtitles from it or something along those lines. Closed caption concept. I think there could be value, or in extracting it out to have a transcript. I think there would be use in that. So. What did we call to that? We called it with nothing. I guess I could have put that as the default value. Let's see, yes, subtitles, closed captioning is the immediate value, which would also allow you to translate for I-189 against the various Google AWS APIs. I don't know when I was laughing maniacally, but I believe it. I love laughing maniacally. It's fun. If you don't do it, you really should at some point. It's enjoyable. Everyone should laugh maniacally every once in a while. 502.3 bad gateway. Yeah, that's totally what I wanted to see. Yeah, how'd you know? I was kidding. I was kidding. Hang on. I'm gonna kill the website. Stop the website. Every once in a while, websites just don't want to close. They just don't die. They're like zombies. Is the upload process to YouTube automated? Could potentially hook into their API to upload events and run the post-processing off their data. We'll start actively looking into this. So M. Lyons, I actually just use a Twitch export to send it over to YouTube. So it's sort of automated. I basically just click a button and it sends the Twitch recording over to YouTube. I don't do all the individual like handling of things. That'd be a lot of work. On get async on edit channel. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna debug this. You don't like using IIS? No, I don't mind IIS. I've used it plenty of times in the past, and I used to do a reasonable amount of stuff with it. It's decent. It's a decent server. Does its job. We're using. We just have a little IIS Express site going over here, so that's all it runs in. So we go to the edit page in our get path, and that should get us our object. with a country code of US and a time zone ID of America, New York. Sounds correct. So, unconverted so far. Will the website automatically collect streams from streaming websites, or does one need to register their site to your website in order for them to show that is? So I have a couple of plans for that. Number one is, so for now, if you want to just put it in, you're going to be able to just add it in here. There are a couple of things that I've thought about scraping, so we can actually pull some of this data ourselves for some websites. We can find dev streamers and pull that data in, because there are some existing tools that can help us with that. But again, that only works if their stuff was set up right to begin with, so if they have the correct times. So I'd rather the human actually tell us when their streams are for that. And then lastly, the thing that we were discussing doing is essentially having the system figure it out. So watch to see when people did stream in the past, maybe using the Twitch API, and try to figure out what times specific streamers streamed. So, and then making educated guesses for your future streams. So if you tend to stream on certain days, if you don't have a specific one, we could potentially make it guess that, but those are all like future ideas. We want to do it first as like, you'll just add it in, but then maybe we'll make it so that you can, it could intuit that. They're just ideas for what we could build. So cool concepts. We don't have to build any or anything like that. So, oops, countries, results view. So we got a whole bunch of these. That's good. We should have a lot of countries. That's a lot of countries. Vatican City. United Nations. Nope. Selected true on United States. Okay, cool. So, United States selected true. Perfect. That's what we should be seeing. On countries. And then time zones, we should have the same basic concept. We should have only, a lot fewer time zones here, but one of them America, Chicago, Boise, Denver, Phoenix, LA, Nome, whoops. You know what? We're just gonna do this. Because that's a little easier. Nope. Nope. These alphabetical? They don't look alphabetical. Gotta be kidding me. Louisville. They had a time at some point. There we go. Eastern Time, New York. Selected true, selected false. Okay, so it picked the correct one, so these are selected. And I guess I could have just done a quick little thing to do that, but I found it anyway. Let's see, wouldn't it potentially make educated guesses that could be wrong, giving a user of the website data that is faulty? Yes, and that's actually why, if we were going to do that, we would want to treat that data differently. So not have it be the same as this data. So this is data given to us by a person. So for all kinds of things like that, you need to treat the data differently. So for example, these are reasonably reliable. You can expect this is probably the normal schedule of the streamer. In addition, data that you could put on here is you could indicate that the streamer usually, maybe they frequently miss their Wednesday stream or something like that. We could watch for that data and end up pointing out, hey, yeah, the streamer doesn't always get this stream. That it's an unreliable one or something like that. Or that it usually starts late. So, that kind of thing. Sorry, Seto, the bot does block links into the chat, so because if a streamer isn't streaming for some reason on some day, then how would we make sure the systems recognize that? So this is more for like general planning purposes. There's no guarantee that the person's streaming on any given day, but I do like a couple of other things about the concept, and that is that we want to be able to have someone cancel a stream. Yes, K Park, you can sort of get around it, but then it's not really a link either. Hey MadTech, welcome, greetings. I'd imagine you could append a rating system to the streamer's channels for public moderation. Could have a stream consistency rating, uptime average. Yeah, exactly, M-Lions. So we could tell how frequently a stream hit, but then you could also have other people put in that kind of stuff. So some kind of a public moderation option could be there. So it's not only a hub for tracking streams, but also giving the user a profile of a streaming schedule. Yeah, so we can get more stuff here at some point. So I didn't call this website Dev Stream Schedule. I just called it Dev Streams, right? So it's stream information. And I also don't want to be Twitch specific. So if you stream on Twitch or YouTube, or maybe you're on Mixer, I'm not really worried about that. That's why we're just doing a link to your stream. So that's sort of the concept. Okay, so this is the data. It seems to be that we have what we actually want in there. How did we wire these up? Did I not? ASP items, model countries. And K Park, thanks for that follow. Much appreciated. I will assume that means you've been enjoying the stream. And for anyone else that is in here, and if you've enjoyed any of the stream today, be sure to click that follow button so you get notified when we go live in the future. So, for country code, and the items are model.countries, and that one, it's for this. So for this one, I know why it didn't wire up, because I didn't give it the initial items collection. I didn't say ASP items time zones. Right? And that should wire that one up. Then, ID, country, form control, remodel, selected country, selected time zone. Maybe it's because I gave these initial values that it pulled that away when I do this. Okay, I'm gonna break the JavaScript on the page in order to hopefully fix the C# on the page. We'll see what happens. We're debugging, so we're gonna whoops. You know what? Let me just cancel that debug. We'll run it this way. We'll see what happens. Okay, go to channels, and we're gonna edit again. Doesn't come up with them. Let's do a super refresh. No. They blink in for a second. I can see Eastern Time, New York selected there. And then it disappears. Same with United States. So I think the view is killing it. So something with our view. Yeah, I know it's not defined because I killed it here. Thank you. Okay, if I haven't thought of it already, but it would be a good idea to let the streamers edit on the profile for their streams on DevStreams, for example, to list their programming languages. Yes. No, that is absolutely the plan. That they'll list which programming languages they use so that people can filter down based on that kind of thing. So if you want to see someone that does like game programming, for example, you might not want to like. Someone that watches game programming might not watch web programming, might not watch UI programming. Someone might want to watch mobile programming. You might want to see someone build a mobile app. There are people that do like assembly stuff. There are people that are writing their own languages on live streams. I've seen people that are hacking video games, like making mods and things like that, especially to older games. And those are the kinds of things that if you watch one of those, you don't necessarily watch the other stuff, and vice versa. So being able to filter down is a huge part of what we want to do. No problem. I think I figured out. I think I figured out what you were saying, and never worry about it. English is not the first language for many people here. If I ever do mess up reading whatever it is you wrote, just let me know if I got it, if I misunderstood in some way. Yep, no, we are very good about that here. So we try to be helpful as we can be. So US. And then we end up with those objects. And then this is America / new _ York, right? Now, how do I set those by default is the question. View data from existing, no, I need the initial value. Yeah, see, that's setting the key to nothing. I need the initial value. Alright, view. Where is your excellent answers for this? Let's see, I handle this by initialing my model value to the value of the input field. Oh, yeah, that'd work. We could do that. To put the value into the element and issue an input event. So value is that. So when we bind element value dispatch, and that's weird. I think I want to try this approach for now. I wonder if there's a way to get it from the element. Question: how did you get into programming, and how did you learn it the best way? Whew, that is a doozy of a question. I actually got into programming a long time ago. I have been programming for over 20 years now. I got into programming because I wanted to build stuff. So for just things I was working on. So I originally just started messing around on my computer and making stuff work. I like the term community taught developer. And I've been pushing that for years now. I like it because it emphasizes that I would say I'm self-taught, but I'm not. I learned from the community. There's been people on the internet and book authors and many other people that have helped me get to where I am. A lot of the best ways to learn any kind of programming is just to go do it. Just go dive into some code somewhere. Even if it seems intimidating, just go try to build something, contribute to an existing project. A lot of people learn differently. There are articles online. If you're good at following along with those, go for it. Some people don't like articles. Some people would rather watch a video explaining it, so you can do that. Some people like watching other people actually code, so that could be pair programming with someone else, going and watching presentations where someone codes live. You can watch Twitch streams like this one where people are coding live, and you can get tips and tricks from that. But I always recommend doing more code. It will help you. Just always be writing something, and the best way to keep motivation on it is build something that's useful to you. So if you need a program that does something, build it. The best way to make sure you're motivated is you have a reason to continue building it. So a lot of people love the idea of, oh, just build a blog engine. It's like, but if you don't want to do a blog, why would you build a blog engine or something like that, right? If you're not going to build that one, so build a thing that you can find some value in, and make sure you keep it simple enough for a lot of those. You're in your second year of systems science, and sometimes find programming at higher levels intimidating, as if it would be too hard to learn. So programming is one of those things that I don't want to diminish it, because programming is hard. There's a lot of thinking, but that's not to say that anyone can't do it. So anyone is able to program. You just have to put your mind to it and put in the effort. That's really the thing. It is a challenging thing. It's difficult. It's complicated. It'll hurt your brain sometimes, but it's worth it, and it's rewarding when you see your code work. So I am a big fan of programming. I like a lot of what you can get out of it. What is it called? ID country. Right, we just called it country and time zone. I can do that. Country. I wonder if that's what the value is that you get back when you grab a select. I need to think about that. It may not be right. Country, time zone. K-Park. Well, I appreciate the compliment. No, I'm yeah, so I've been programming for a while now. So I enjoy it. I like it. It's good stuff. And yes, the syntax of programming will boggle your mind. And which programming language have you been using in school? So when that changes, do that. This, I hope, is not considered... I'm hoping this isn't considered changing. Otherwise, it's going to trigger this, and we're going to reset the time zones, which would be really lame. I don't want that to happen. Let's... Oh, whoa! Hey, did it suddenly work? Cool. Well, that didn't work. Derp. That's so funny. It has, like, all those time, like the United States times are just hard-coded in and don't get removed anymore. Huh. Let's see. JavaScript get select options. How do you actually pull that? Yeah. Options text. Oh, okay. Apple, orange, pineapple, banana. Cool. So how are we gonna use that? If that's that, then that's all the options. So is it just value.options instead of value then? Let's try that. So instead of value, we're gonna say options. Then that should reset the options when we do that. Let's see, does that do? Oh, C#, that's awesome, yeah. I'm a big fan of C#, it's good stuff. It's a nice language, but yeah, syntax can get weird. Indochina time, and our US stuff didn't disappear. Why isn't our US stuff disappearing? Let's pull up view again. This should be in our data now. View that. Okay, so inside of our root we have selected. Whoa. Yeah, only one object. That's what we expect. But let's refresh, because at the starting point we should have a different set of data. HTML options collection. That is not right. No, not what we wanted. Can I map it? Okay, let's refresh that again. So this is an empty array. So that's fine. And then when we pick one of these, this comes back, no selected time zone, but that list doesn't clear out. Let's do this. Can I clear it? Is that what it's called? Let me confirm. Confirm JavaScript clear select list. Yep. What's it called? Get interesting. Oh, that's funny. So that's hilarious. I like that. I can go with that. We can do that. This seems less crazy than some of the other options that people suggested. So we're gonna call this const time zone select. So we're gonna grab that. So that'll be our little reset there, just to make sure that it clears out when they change that. So, changes, I picked Thailand. Oh man, it didn't want to clear it at all. Wait, did I still have clear there? Oh, whoops. Derp. Way to go. Alright, there we go. Switzerland, yay! United Kingdom, hey, back to United States. There we go. United States with a super complicated list. Thanks, United States. So let's change this to... Let's go to the United Kingdom time. So that one's on United Kingdom time now also, and it selects it just fine. Let's try switching to Turkey time. That is a hilarious name. United States and Eastern time, New York. Save. Eastern time, United Kingdom time. Boom. There's a victory right there. And if anyone's wondering, these are the cultural descriptions of the time zones for the United States. So this is what someone in the United States would think of those. And yes, Iliya, it probably is a good idea to select whatever the first option is. So if you only have one option, you don't need to pick that. That is a very good suggestion. And Janisku, hey, welcome, greetings. Okay, so either way, we got this part working, so I want to get this in here because that's a big improvement. So, show selected country and time zone on edit page. Okay, now picking one by default. So picking the first one. No. We're not going to do it that way. That's messy. So this is going to be... That should still be the same one. So we're going to say time zone selected one is going to be... Option 0, I think is what everybody was describing that as. Yeah, options 0. Oh, we have a duel. K-Park, you should have gotten a whisper about it. So... Bot should have whispered you, yeah. Because it needs to be secret. Because you each have to secretly choose what you want to pick. It's a game of rock, paper, scissors. So you can't obviously see what the other person chose. Yeah, exactly. Oh. I should probably tell you which one was slow there. Who it was that didn't actually chime in, but... Okay, so here we go. So we pick. So when we're doing this, what is it? Value maybe? I did save that, right? Yeah. Bring this up just so we're not, you know, being crazy over here. We're gonna bring up view. We have the console down there. Derp. Okay, so it doesn't know what value is. That's fine. Oh, because it's gonna be at, yeah, it's gotta be as part of the fetching. Fetch time zones. I kind of want to pick the first no matter what. Time zone. This time zone options is going to be that. And then I'm going to say this dot selected time zone. There should always be at least one. Okay, I think that's what we want. Let's try it that way. I didn't leave the other bad code in, did I? No, good. So now when I choose that, hey, there we go. So it'll always pick the first one, and if there is only one, that's awesome. If not, then that's fine. And we do that when we choose that. So there we go. Great suggestion, right there. Great suggestion. You guys killed it. Way to go. I don't know how you killed it, but you killed it. I'm not actually mad about it. Is this the... No, it's... So the stupid thing is, it still says you guys doing the commands. Where did... Yeah, I don't have an error message. So something borked somewhere. I'm gonna have to look into it. Well, I'm just gonna kill the bot for now. Bye, bot. Okay, so pick first time zone by default. Okay, we need a new name for this branch because this isn't gonna work. So we're branching off of this branch, and we're gonna call it Benric slash view view. Let's call this data entry modeling. View modeling. There we go. I'm gonna publish that. Yeah, Siralash, I'm not sure. We're gonna need to dig into it at some point. I think we're still on a weird branch. I don't think we're on the master branch. It's whatever I've got locally that's running right now. So I don't know the state of it, but we're definitely gonna need to pay some attention to the bot again at some point and do some coding on it. Either way, let's take a look. This should have pushed our code out onto GitHub. So dev streams, I didn't do a pull request for it, but there it is. Let's see, what did we change today? Code cleanup, adding a display view model for schedule streams, code cleanup, switch detail page to a view model, switch schedule delete to a view model, rename edit scheduled streams to that, renaming that, moving those there, fixing up the channel index page, switching to an edit channel to that, show selected country and time zones on the edit page, and pick the first time zone by default. That sounds like a good change. I'm going to create that. Yep, hang on. There it is. So there's our GitHub. A couple of other things I want to mention for anybody that is in here in the chat. I know we do have some new people in here, so if you are new, welcome to DevChatter. I hope you're enjoying the stream. You're never, we don't expect people to stick around for the whole stream, but we do appreciate it when you do. I also want to mention that if you haven't yet, you should be sure to click that follow button to make sure that you get notified when we go live, because the live streams are the best way to watch the streams. If you are watching a recording in the future, say here on Twitch in the video section or in YouTube, welcome future person. Hopefully the future is nice, and feel free to hit like, subscribe, or whatever else you want to click. Other things, be sure to join our Discord, because it is a great way to talk with me and the other viewers of DevChatter here on the stream. We actually stream 4 times a week on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. That is our usual schedule. I do have to cancel them from time to time because I am an independent consultant, so I work for some clients, and every once in a while I just can't do a stream because something else gets in the way. But I've been pretty consistent with it. You may have noticed that we've had, almost 160 streams, and this DevChatter is not a year old. It will be a year old next month. So that is about over 160 streams over the course of a year. So that is quite a few streams. So hopefully you caught some of those. If not, we're looking forward to seeing you at future streams. If you wanted links to our YouTube, youtube.com/devchatter, and you can also follow me on Twitter. I'm at Brandonius, which you can see right here below my name. And you can also follow DevChatter, but that Twitter is just it has an underscore at the end. You can see links to that over in the chat or down below as well for either of those. And other than that, I think those are the main things that I wanted to mention. I am working on scheduling some guests to come on and pair program with me. So should be some good stuff. If you want to see what our schedule is in your time zone, because maybe yours doesn't match mine, you could do something like schedule England. For example, if you live in England, and it will show you that. Yes, Will Bennett is correct. If you are interested in getting DevChatter merchandise, we have 2 stores that do sell awesome DevChatter merchandise. And if you just do schedule, it's going to give it to you in UTC. So there you go. We don't do it by the by those abbreviations for those, and the reason why we don't is because there are multiples that are identical, and you can't actually tell them apart because more than one place actually uses the same letters. So yes, as Nanda mentions, you can do like schedule Brazil, but if you want to know what the PST time is, you could say schedule and say like Seattle, for example, or it's not going to know Los Angeles without quotes, but schedule Seattle works, and you'll get Pacific time. So that's our normal stream. It's good stuff, and yes, we did use Nota time for that. And if you don't know what Nota time is, that is actually the time zone that is, sorry, the time library, the date and time library that is maintained by John Skeet, and it is a much improved form of tracking date times. You have to deal with a little bit of pain because some things are built just to work with the standard date times that are built into .NET. However, the handling of time by Nota time is more accurate. So you have to be a little bit more deliberate with it, but if you put in that effort, you're more likely to get the result you're looking for. I think it's probably the best way of describing Nota time. Other than that, I want to click a couple of buttons. So first off, clicking buttons. I want to thank everybody for coming out and watching us today. I want to thank our moderators for hanging out. I know Stool Penner and S&B were both here, despite what that list says. K-Park, wait, I'm not going to read all the followers. I already thanked you when you followed, so thank you everyone for following today, much appreciated. And Greg, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub, much appreciated. And everyone, I hope you enjoyed the stream today, and we'll be back on Thursday for our next stream. I don't know if we're going to continue on this or work on one of our other projects, but either way, we're going to have fun. So take care, everyone. Happy coding, and I will see you next time.